Welcome to The Art of Being Unstoppable, the podcast where women from every walk of life come together to break barriers, embrace their power, and live life on their own terms. I'm your host, Vicki McDougall, and each week we explore inspiring stories, actionable strategies, and empowering conversations to help you step into your confidence, amplify your voice, and create a life without limits. No matter where you are on your journey, this is your space to grow, thrive, and become unstoppable. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Art of Being Unstoppable. I am your host, Vicki McDougall, and this podcast is going to look a little different to most of you because it's not just me and one guest. I have 4 amazing, beautiful women on with me today. These women are going to share their stories with you. They're going to inspire you and empower you to see that you're not alone in this world. And they have written a book which drops tomorrow. And I want you to know that you must get this book, and everything will be in the show notes, so you don't have to worry about anything. I will take care of everything for you. You can have all of their information and whatever you need from them. So the book is called Victim No More. Now that title is a very powerful title, and I would love Jana to first of all, I'm going to welcome everyone. I'm sorry. Welcome Jana, Jeanette, Claire, and Natalie. I am so blessed and happy to have all of you here with me today. Thank you for being here. I would love to start with Jana.
Thank you
I
for
would
having
love
us.
to ask you, what made you want to write this book?
I can't explain it other than it was like an inner knowing, and right in the middle of the time that my ex-husband was leaving me, I literally said it. I'm like, I'm going to write a book about this one day. And I said it very casually and let it go. And then about a year and a half ago, I woke up in the middle of the night and I just, in my spirit, it was spoken, and I couldn't go back to sleep. And I'm like, okay, God, what is this supposed to look like? And he's like, it's time, the book. And so, I sat on it, out of fear for a week or two. And then I was like, no, we're doing this. And, um, all the other women, in the book have gone through the same, narcissistic abuse journey. And, I just decided how powerful that it would be if we could all share our story, and how the trauma program that we've all gone through transformed our lives. And I'm a trauma recovery coach, and I'm super passionate about helping other people heal. So that's why we're here. And that's the purpose of the book, is to help others.
I love that. And it's a powerful thing because sometimes when we've lived it, it's one thing, but when we write it down, we relive it, correct? So when you're reliving that by writing it down again, you're going through that all
Yeah.
over again. It's not new. It's reliving, and it's a different feeling, and it's a different, everything feels different and looks different, and you're going back to that pain. So what was that like for you, Natalie, when you decided to write this book with Jana? What was that like for you to go through that process?
I tell you what, it was a little unexpected, and it was absolutely beautiful because it just showed how much that I've healed and God has healed in me. Because as I wrote it, it does definitely take you back. It kind of puts you right back in that scenario. But more than anything, I looked back at that version of myself and I thought, oh, honey, if you could just see who you are, you just couldn't see it. And just to know that I really did do the best I could with what I knew and where I was. Um and it really, I think it was that final, the final thing that I needed to do to truly release all the shame and step into my God-given identity. Because, we are not broken. And there's so much said that, like your picker's wrong, which implies as though it's intentional, that we get in those kinds of relationships when that's not the case at all. And it brings a lot of shame. And so writing the book made me realize wow. Like the potential for that kind of healing is possible for every single woman, and I just want to make sure that they know that it is not a flaw in them, and there's that shame can be removed, and they can stand powerful.
So beautifully said, and so, so true. And when you guys came together to do this, I think that that step in itself shows what you can give to others. And that is a beautiful thing. So, Jeanette, when you decided to do this, how did that impact your life and what you had gone through?
Well, I I'm still kind of living my life with my narcissistic abuser. He is the father of my children, and so I have to deal with him on a regular basis. And coming together with these women to write this book, initially I was quite nervous to put my story out there for fear of retribution or what may or may not happen as a result of telling the story. But then I also realized that the more I tell my story and the more that I speak up and use my voice, the more I can help other women. I think one of the things that I have come to realize over the last several years is that through this abuse and through what I've been going through with a very drawn out divorce as well as a really horrific custody battle, was I lost my voice. I felt like I had to be silent in order to survive. And I just lost every ability to be able to stand up for myself and to set healthy boundaries. And um, writing this book, it really empowered me to find my voice again and to be able to speak my truth, and not only just for myself but for my healing and for my children, so that I can be the mom that they want me or need me to be. I can be a healed mom. I can be the mom who can laugh, and I don't have to be stuck in survival mode for them. I can have that peaceful, loving home where they can come to and know that it's a safe place and that it's going to be loving and protected. And so going through this journey of writing this book with all these ladies, it just gave me so much strength and support to be able to find my voice again and just speak up and use it to help other women who may also have found themselves in the same position that I was in.
That's so true. And you spoke about your children. And I know when I started on my shift in my personal development and just learning about myself, I saw the ripple effect that it had on the people around me. So, how has that affected your children in this? Because if you're still connecting and you have to connect with him in whatever way because you have children, which I completely understand, how does that affect your relationship, or how does that affect them?
Well, it first of all, it transformed how I act as a mother. It transformed how I show up as a mother. So rather than being um, short, impatient, reactionary, I'm able to just take a pause. I have more patience now. I can step back and see more, just to relate to them, see how they may be feeling and be able to ask them more questions about their emotions. We talk about regulation of our emotions. We also talk about boundaries. There's so many things now that I would never ever dream that I would be teaching my children as a mom before I went through this program. But now I'm teaching them how to set boundaries, how to look out for maybe manipulation, and what does that look like? And not necessarily with, you know, they're dealing with in our family dynamic, but friends, lovers, as they grow up, and how do they want to be in the world as well. And so that's really impacted the conversations that I have with them and what I teach them. It's actually a deeper connection, I believe, a more meaningful connection. Um, and also it's brought so much peace and joy, and we have, laughter Like last night, we were just sitting here. The kids were playing catch, and all of a sudden, the dog jumps in and steals the ball. And before you know it, we're all just laughing hysterically. And that's what I want. That's what I want in my life. And this healing journey has really brought that about.
Yes, yes. I think, when we have our kids and when they're still at home with us, that's what we want. We had these children to show them the love that we have inside. And when there's outside forces coming in to stop our regular way of being, and it scares us and we don't know how. So we go within, we are afraid. But by opening it up and sharing, you ladies are stronger than you even know. And you are giving so much to the other women who listen to this podcast and the other women who can read your book, because you took that step. Now, Claire, what was that step like for you to take?
Well, so it's kind of interesting how all this came together, because I was just, when Janet was telling me about, when God woke her up to this idea of writing a book, I was replaying a very specific moment in my mind, which was the day I actually left my abusive ex. And in probably a 3-hour time frame that I was walking all my belongings to my car, one box at a time, while he was following behind me, bullying me, saying all these vile, horrible things to me. In my brain, I remember thinking, God, if you get me out of this, I promise you I will help other women that are in these same situations any way I can. I wanted to share my story. So sorry for my shaky voice, but I'm so grateful that I
Please don't
finally had the
apologize,
nerve
Claire.
and the courage to
Don't
do that.
ever apologize
Yes,
for what you're doing.
yes, yes. Well, so when Jana asked me, it was just an instant yes, like that the Holy Spirit was like, yes, you're doing this. You're going to share your story.
So,
And I've been so grateful just to be a part of this process, and just to watch everybody just go, through all the triggers that we had to go through to write our story and process all the crazy things that we've lived through. But we lived through it and we came through it, and we are going to use our voice to help other people know that there's help out there and there's healing out there.
yes, there is. And you ladies have started that ball rolling. So tell me if anybody, and you can jump in, please do. I would love to hear what the point was that you chose no more. This is it. I'm not doing this anymore. I am perfect, whole, and complete, and I need to move away from this narcissist, this hell that I'm living in. What point was it for you that happened? Claire, maybe you could share that first.
Well, so, I was in a marriage for 25 years, and I always I've started to say that for 20 years, I was trying to figure out what was wrong with him. But the last 5 years of my marriage, I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me, to why I felt like this was all I deserved. And so I'd gone through I'd gone through Celebrate Recovery with a friend of mine. I'd gone through another very intense emotional boot camp, but I was going back into that same environment that was just destroying me. And I couldn't figure out why. I was going through all this trouble to fix what was broken in me, but still continuing to stay in that same environment, and it doesn't work. So I was listening to a book. It was on Audible, and it was by a Christian therapist that was describing what narcissistic abuse sounded like. And whenever I listened to that book and he was describing my life, And I was just bawling, and I made myself listen to that about 5 or 6 times and look myself in the mirror and say, I'm being abused. And I finally said, I'm not okay with that. I can't call myself a woman of God and be in an abusive situation. That was the moment where I said, I have to do something, and God does not want this for me.
Oh, wow.
And I think it's really important to note here that when the brainwashing is happening, when you're in it, you're living it day to day, the the deceit and the second guessing that it does, and that's why narcissistic abuse is so easily confused or dismissed. The brainwashing that happens is so intense, you do not realize it's happening until, for most people, until you're out of it, you really see like, wow. I mean, you're just mind blown when you realize you walk away from it and you're really out of it and you start to heal. Then you can truly see what happened, you know? I don't know if anyone
Mhm.
else wants to share on that, but
If I can, just to give an understanding, a little bit of science behind it as well. So, the narcissistic relationship usually starts with a lot of the love bombing, right? So it is, "Oh, you're incredible. I love you so much," like, and just so much outpouring of love. And for a lot of us who tend to find ourselves in that relationship, we probably had an inability at some point to either receive love, or that's a void that needed to be filled. So when that comes, it is almost too good to be true. And so that's how they kinda get us on that hook, and then we have that dependency. And so as they do that, they start to intermix it between the love bombing, which also, for a lot of personalities in these relationships, we have a heart for the people and we wanna help people. The flip side of that on the spectrum of unhealthy is being a rescuer or being codependent. And so you sacrifice yourself for others. And so therefore you feel, totally loved like a princess. And then, the intermixings of I need you makes that validation happen. And so then once they get you on the hook there, and you feel that, and you have opened up yourself and been vulnerable, that's whenever they start to sneak in the jabs, I guess, so to speak, and they start to tear you down in your identity. And so they take you away from friends and family, or they start to target those pieces of you, or what's left from previous trauma, and tear them down, so you start to question who you really are. And then once they can get you in that situation, they know that they can truly gaslight you, which makes you feel like you're the one with the problem. And again, if there's ever been any situation or trauma not being the event that happened to you, but who you believe you are on the other side of it, right? If there's been
Mhm.
any previous shame, I'm broken, then it's very easily reinforced through the narcissist's language and behavior. And so the gaslighting truly does make you feel like, well, maybe it really wasn't my fault. And so the lies that have been implanted previously, and any trauma that we've been through, really comes out and becomes reinforced. We completely lose our identity, and therefore the confusion may stick for a while, even after.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that I explaining that was very wow to me. I, um I was married before I my ex-husband, and he ended up passing away, unfortunately. But he was, I believe, somewhat of a narcissist as well, but it was more through his addictions and his issues that he had as well, that, and now, and I never saw it. I never saw it. And I know that each one of you are strong women. And that's what this is all about too, is we aren't broken. And when you're in that, someone is breaking you down, but that power, it is still inside you. It is in there, but you can't get to it because of all of the crap that's put on top of it. And each one of you have dug through
100%.
all of that and became this beautiful flower out the other side. So Jeanette, what was it like? Like, what was that turning point for you?
Well, I had a few turning points. I I ended up with a friend who put a book in my hand at one point, and it was called "Why Does He Do That?" And I remember reading it and just almost becoming hysterical, going, "Oh my gosh, I could have written this book verbatim." And that's, I believe, when my eyes started to really open. But even before that, I knew I was in trouble because I wasn't healthy. I was hiding wine in my closet, and my diet was off. I wasn't exercising, even though I owned a Pilates studio at the time. And I just knew that I had completely deteriorated from who I was. And I was really lost. And so when this book was put into my hands, that was kind of the beginning. And then the real point where I knew that I needed to get out, that it just wasn't safe anymore, was it was actually Independence Day, which it wasn't until I started writing the book that I took note, and how ironic that is, of that date. We were driving to a family barbecue, and we were on a huge 7-lane or 5-lane highway going 70 miles per hour. And I was driving, and our kiddos were in the back seat, and they were sleeping, and they were young at the time. And an argument started. And of course, as usual, I couldn't even tell you what the argument was about. And it escalated, as they always did. And before I know it, he's screaming at me at the top of his lungs, like getting kind of in my face. He actually turns to face me in the car. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, I froze and panicked and just prayed that we don't get into an accident, because I was just so stunned. And of course, our children woke up and crying, and I just froze. And we didn't speak the rest of the night. We didn't speak on the way home. And that's kind of the moment where I realized that it's not safe, and started to put some plans in place, and try to figure out how to unravel from this relationship. And it took me another year and a half to actually leave.
Wow. Frightening to be on a highway with your children and you're protecting. And I can see that being the turning point, most definitely. Like, your stories are all so relatable. They are all so normal. And that's what's scary, is that this happens so much to so many women and men, I'm sure. I'm not saying it's just women, but, you know, this is about the women for me. And, I love the men, but this is about the women. And your stories are just like, like, it's just crazy to me to hear you ladies talk and to see you all sitting here as beautiful and as whole and as powerful as you are right now. That's what I want the women listening to this to see. You can do this. You can. Despite where you are.
Narcissistic abuse.
No, go ahead. Yes.
I was just going to say, with narcissistic abuse, most of us walk away with some complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And that can take a while. But through this program and the tools, we've proven that the brain can be rewired very safely. There's a lot of people out there that walk away from this and they think, no, not me. There's not hope for me. I'm too messed up.
Wow.
I will never trust anybody or anything or myself again. I want to tell you that there is hope. And absolutely, the program that Natalie, Jeanette, and I run, absolutely, will help you heal from the trauma of this. Um, it's not easy. It takes some work, but it is so possible. And if you can get to the other side and have your voice and your power back, I mean, we're living proof. And I just want to share with everybody that you can too.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So tell
Mhm.
me a little bit about where you are today. And I know the three of you all do the same technique, like the same, you took the same program and now you are coaches helping other women do the same thing. Claire, where are you today? What does your life look like today?
So I live alone, something I never thought I would do. My daughter is almost 35. Um, so much of the reasoning of why I wanted to do this program is I wanted to show her that life doesn't have to be that way. I started watching her getting in some unhealthy relationships, and so the generational trauma was continuing. So it was so important for me to show her that she can be strong. She doesn't have to be in a toxic relationship. Um, I have an 8 to 5 job. I have a health and wellness business that I I'm working on, and these tools are helping me to get over a lot of the fear that I've had of just putting myself out there. And I have so much hope for my future. I mean, I feel like my life has just begun. Every day I just wake up so grateful to just be alive and have another chance of not living in that environment and just feeling joy again. You know, this program helped me process through so much shame and guilt to where there's room in my life to feel joy. And that's just the most amazing thing to me, that I can actually have a future to look forward to with healthy relationships.
Hmm. And speaking of your daughter, and that is, I think, a driving point for many of us as our children, to show them that this doesn't have to be the way it is. This doesn't have to be. Natalie, where are you now after this? Where do you find yourself now, and how do you live your daily life?
My story is a little different than the others. And I did want to make note. Um, I feel like it's important for the audience to know. So after when the relationship ends, actually, for me, he was the one that kind of ended it, which is not often the case. And so I, the external changed, but for me, that toxic relationship internally, it continued, and it just sent me into a spiral. And about half a year later, I tried to commit suicide, and then um, tried to come out of it again and moved across the country to essentially get away from the pain. But where you go, there you are. And so it was years. I still felt like I was suffering from the effects of that. And so, you know, thank you, Jesus. I had my son, and then I found the program, and so that shame that defined me, I was finally able to walk out of and release. And in that is that power which is inside each and every one of us. And so yes, very much driven for my son. What's funny is up until this year, and this is why healing is one of those things that we're layers, and we are constantly healing, and we're exactly where we need to be, and it's perfectly fine how we are. And so this past year I actually got married. Never thought I was going to get married. And I got two beautiful, well, really, I got four stepchildren in the process, including daughters. And this past year was the first year I truly was able to receive love, allowing myself to be vulnerable enough and trust him enough um, to do that. And if you would have told me this 5 years ago, I would have just laughed. I would have been like, there's no way. After that relationship, if someone told me I was going to get married, I would have just told them, you're crazy. Um, and so I wake up every day full of this joy that never thought possible. I'm happy. I have this big family I've always wanted, and I pinch myself because I get to meet women every single day that I can tell them, like, you are not broken. God made you exactly who you are, and there's just pain that needs to be worked through and resolved. But that powerful you is in there, and what you truly desire is available for you. And so, as a married woman, it's still weird for me to say, I am I am just so grateful. I'm so, so grateful that everything happened in my life the way that it did, even though it was extremely painful. Um, and all of it is available for every single listener out there, and I just want them to understand that, like, no matter where you are or what you think, that is never possible for you, because I met my soulmate and I couldn't be happier.
You know, I heard you say that. So how long were you together, and how long has it been since you've been on this healing journey? So were you with your partner for a long time before, like what, before he left?
So, the abusive relationship went on for about almost 2 years. So it wasn't, the length of time in which many of the others here suffered. And that was one of the things that is one of the lies that go through your head is like, well, mine wasn't as bad as theirs. And every person, their relationship affects them significantly. So don't ever damper what you've been through, because the effects can happen. The timing doesn't necessarily matter. But over those 2 years, it completely shattered me. It just completely shattered me. And so I had gone through every kind of therapy that you can imagine. I had been diagnosed with every diagnosis: anxiety, depression, bipolar, all the things, on and off meds, and, especially after the suicide attempt. And I just always kind of felt like a zombie, but the shame never left. The shame that told me that I was broken, that there was something wrong with me, that I was not wanted, that I didn't have a voice and it didn't matter, that didn't leave. Um, and it replayed. So I was like 26 or 27 when the relationship ended, up until 2020. I was, I believe, 35 whenever I found the program to start healing. Now, of course, there had been some healing over that time frame because I had my son. Um, but when I was able to take the lies, which really is what destroys us, the lies that, I deserve to be punished, that I'm not good enough, that I'm ugly, that I'll never find someone. Those lies are actually implanted in our subconscious mind from the trauma, and they drive 96% of everything that we do.
Yeah.
And there's no way that we can receive anything different whenever those are running our life. And so when they were removed, you talk about freedom. I mean, I was floating. I was like, Lord, I didn't even know this was possible. The me that had always been there, that was just locked in a dungeon, the chains broke and I became free and have never looked back. And the ripple effects to my children have been incredible. Every day I wake up and I feel even more empowered. not to say that I still don't have sadness and all the other things,
Oh,
but the
yeah.
beautiful part is I don't attach it to my identity anymore. I am worthy
Yes.
no matter what. And that's the power. That is the power.
Yes. Yes, it is the power. Jana, tell us a little bit about where you are now and a little bit about your story so that people can understand. And I know each one of your stories are your own and they're individual and they are what you had to live through. But I see you when you talk and I feel it when you speak. The And I see it in you. I can feel it through the screen. I can feel the power that each one of you has, and it's the most beautiful feeling. So, Jana, tell us a little bit about your story and where you are today.
Sure. Um, my relationship with my abuser lasted 5 years, from 2018 to 2023. And like Natalie, I didn't have a choice. He left me very, very abruptly, while I was helping my daughter through some mental health issues. And 5 days before Christmas, before we had a house full of family coming in, he announced that he didn't want the marriage anymore. And it happened very, very quickly. And what was actually unfolding was he was replacing me with someone else. It's often called the discard in narcissistic abuse. And um, his pattern, that's what he did with his wife before me. And when that happened, I wanted to die. I thought even though was questioning some things in my life, that a lot of red flags going on, I'm like, this is my third marriage. I'm not getting divorced again. I'm going to ride this through. But there was a lot of second guessing going on in my head, a lot. And I was also a trauma coach already at the time. Unlike these girls, I was already a trauma coach, already married to him. And so that duality of
Mm.
trying to help others through their trauma while he just left me was horrendous. Um, I wanted to die, and I did not know how I was going to go on and help others through their trauma when I felt like I was such a wreck myself. And by the grace of God, I overcame that. I started working the tools through this program on myself. And if I needed a day where I needed to just focus on my own healing, I would take that day off for me. And I really did the self-care so that I could heal and get strong again mentally and kind of peel away the layers of the damage of what he did. Um, so that I could heal for myself, for my children, and for my clients. And um, brutal. I would not ever, ever want to go through that again. And yet, what it has given me and empowered me to be able to help my clients now today,
Mhm.
I mean, it's if there's one thing you can, read a textbook and become a therapist,
Mhm.
but when you live it and you go
Mhm.
through it and to be able to be like, oh yeah, I've been there. I've been there. I've been there. No, I've been there. And it really is true that knowledge of that firsthand, it's a blessing and a curse, right? We hate that we have to go through it, but we can truly help others walk through it because we've been there and help them find their voice again and their power. And so, I've been out of that relationship for 3 years now, and I am single, and I'm just focusing on my coaching. My children, all three of them are graduated now, and I'm starting new adventures in my life and just focusing on this book and helping others. I'm ready to change the world one client at a
Absolutely.
time.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is so right. Jeanette, if you could say something to your younger self, what would that be?
Oh, so many things, right?
Mhm.
um, my younger self, I think I would just tell her the most important thing that you can ever do is trust yourself. Trust your intuition, listen to your intuition, and follow your intuition, even when your intuition is telling you something different than what your head is telling you. Because looking back, if I had followed my intuition and my gut, for a lack of better word, um, I probably wouldn't have gotten married. Now, that's not to say, so I don't want to do this whole coulda, woulda, shoulda, because then I wouldn't have these two beautiful children.
Absolutely.
But to be honest, if I had really trusted what my body was telling me, um, I wouldn't have gotten married for sure. And that's one of the things that I try to really relay to my children is your body already knows what is right and what is wrong. And if you were to stop and listen to it and trust that, it will tell you everything that you need to know. Um, I've I've been a movement specialist my entire life. I was a dancer as a kid. I went to New York City to be a musical theater performer straight out of high school. Um, Dance and movement has been just my life. After I quit theater, I went into teaching Pilates. So it was really hard for me to come to the realization that I had completely lost myself and I had stopped listening to my body. And that was something that I had always done as a kid and then through teen years and then early 20s. But I had completely stopped listening to my body. And it was telling me things. It was trying to tell me some very serious things. And I was just ignoring it. And then I was started to drown basically in not knowing who I was through the abuse. And now, coming on the other side of that, I listen to my body now constantly. I'm trying to constantly listen to my body. And that's one of the things that I want to impart to my clients as well. And the women that I work with and the moms that I work with is to really start to be quiet and listen to what your body is telling you. And I also have started incorporating movement into the healing process because for me, that was one of the things that I felt was a little missing when I went through the original program. And I actually went through it with Jana. She was my mentor through the program. And I just kept feeling, I'm like, there's something missing. I need to move this negative energy out of my body somehow.
Totally.
And so I've started incorporating that as well because that's what I need. So I try to keep that going with my clients and show them movement too, because the body does have a memory and it does remember everything and it holds on to that trauma. So you have to move the trauma out through the body as well as rewiring the brain.
That's so true. I'm glad you brought that up too, because I think people need to know that. I think we all need to hear that, we can't just sit and work on this and this. We have to let it flow. We have to let that flow. We get to. We don't have to. We get to. Claire, what would you say to your younger self?
I was just thinking that about that when you were asking Jeanette, and I think I would just say, you are enough and you are worthy of love and giving and receiving love just exactly as you are, and stop trying to earn it by people pleasing. Because I did a whole lot of that growing up and into adulthood that I wish I would have recognized that's what I was doing. So just don't dim your light, and you're worthy of love.
Love that.
Beautiful.
Natalie, what would you say to your younger self?
Oh, this is the very thing that I find so much joy in the ability to share with other women because maybe if I heard this, maybe I would have just got curious about it. Um, but my default was always that there was something wrong with me. It was my fault. I should have done better. Um, and so if I could say anything to that younger version of myself, I would just I would let her know that God's grace and mercy are sufficient and that she's not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're exactly where you are, and you have a purpose and a calling on your life. And things may be hard right now, but I promise you this, it's going to be used and it's going to be your gold and you're going to step out of this. So, you know, instead of allowing the victim mentality to say, there's nothing I can do about this, and I'm just going to, this is just the way life is, or this is just how I am, I'm broken. Don't give in to the lie. Don't give in to that lie because that's exactly what it is. You are who you are, more powerful than you even know. And it may be a journey, but it's going to be messy and beautiful. And what's on the other end is going to blow your mind even far beyond your imagination.
Yes. Jana, same question goes to you as well.
I would tell her that she is a powerhouse because she definitely didn't know it, and that she is worthy and so lovable, and she does not need a man to complete her.
You know what, ladies, you got me crying. I told you that would happen. I could sit here and we could talk about this all day because there's so much gold in every single thing that you ladies have shared. You shared your lowest, you shared your where you are today, and this is what is possible for every woman out there. We have the power within us. And this right here, these 4 beautiful women, and there's also another 2 that are part of this book as well that unfortunately couldn't be here today, but they too would say the same thing. You can do it. We as a group, as a community, as women, we are stronger together and we will never leave anyone behind. So if you are feeling this, if this is something that you have felt for yourself, or if it's something that you feel that you need to share with someone else, please share this episode with someone that needs this, because that is the purpose of what we do here, is to help you get out of that place that you're in, to know that there is hope, there is love and beautiful things on the other side of where you are right now. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for being here today. It means more to me than I can even say. Your stories have touched me so much, and I know that what our listeners will get from this goes beyond what's happening right now in this room. So thank you to each and every one of you. And I know this book is going to do phenomenal things for people. And I want you all to know that this is in the show notes so you can buy this book. Buy it today. I'm going to get my copy as well, because I think that every woman needs to hear this. Because even if it isn't what's happening in our own lives, we know someone that's going through this. We all do. So we can share this with someone and help them get through where they are. So thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone, for being here today. I appreciate you.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you
us,
for
Vicki.
having us. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are
Thanks,
so blessed
everyone.
and honored to have us. So thank you.
No, thank you, thank you, thank you. To the next time, everyone, please like and share this and subscribe and help people. Help women out there, anyone, men, women, help them with where they are, because together we are stronger. And with this podcast, I know that we can change the world, one woman at a time. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Art of Being Unstoppable. Remember, your story matters, your voice matters, and your power is limitless. If you love today's conversation, subscribe, share it with the women in your life, and leave a review to help more women discover their unstoppable selves. I'm Vicki McDougall, and I'll see you in the next episode, because your journey to unstoppable starts now.